Hello, I made it back home. As you can see, I am in my recording studio. I wanted to touch base. The gentleman's name that I met back in 2010-ish over there at Papa Joe's, his name was, according to the record, I don't know if this was his real name because it's very unfortunately that I got away from having the opportunity to know people according to their birth certificate, and I started meeting a lot of people that use street names, nicknames, usernames on social media. I rarely ever know anymore if when I meet somebody and they give me their name that it's their birth name. I'm not shy about my birth name, but my name right now is on my birth certificate. So with that being said, it's difficult for somebody who is, I tried, and I have been trying to live a life in truth, and I end up connecting with a lot of others, not this person, but a lot of others that it's not what I want, okay? So I stay pretty much solitude. I got pretty much ditched with not knowing how to take care of myself years ago. That's how I ended up here in Ohio. Americans stop being selfish and tell people different ways that they can get their needs met. It's top priority. It's serious, okay? Stop acting like because a person is not able to meet other people's expectation of life that they can't have a job. By the way, according to Scripture, we shouldn't be working anyway. We should be serving God with our life. And when you serve God with your life, I don't know why God doesn't provide a way. Money is a good idea so that you can take care of yourself, okay? I don't know who in the Christian community, top rank, that I could speak to. The person who thinks they're top rank, I may be higher than you right now, okay? Obviously, I'm not shy about sharing what I have learned over the years. Anyway, this person's name that I met at Papa Joe's, and then he invited me over to the Viking Festival. His name was John Owen Smith, according to this. Now, one thing I would like to say is it's very unfortunate, but the people that I have had the opportunity to network with every now and then and meet since coming here to Ohio, quite a few of them have died. In my life, I was not used to crossing paths with people or in my family a whole lot of deaths. So this is new to me to see deaths more or less happen frequently versus prior to listening to Joyce Myers and having more of a home-based life. Most of what I was around was pretty consistent and there. You know, with the exception of like great-grandparents or my grandparents or my uncle or people that you perceive that by the time they're what we call older is not older, but what we call older is you're thinking in your life, okay, they're going to pass away sooner or later. Okay, this is going to happen with me and everyone else. Now, here's the thing. But then when I'm going through the things I'm going through, I'm starting to realize there's too many people limping around the state of Ohio. There's too many people with sinus problems. There's too many people claiming all these other sicknesses that I never witnessed before. And I myself had surgery on my nose because I thought which has a whole lot of weird sensation in my right side of my face and my ear, I'm thinking I have sinus problems. And the doctor gave me surgery. Never fixed the actual problem, did fix another problem. However, here's the thing. It's not sinus problems, people. This is not Sinus Valley. That's what they call this here. And chances are people, unfortunately, I don't want to upset anyone, that may be dying of AIDS and HIV, chances are you don't have a virus. Chances are they're using technology to kill humans and they're diagnosing them with things like cancer. They're diagnosing them with things like AIDS. They're diagnosing them with sicknesses that I don't know for sure, but they might not be real. Okay? This is military, higher rank than military operation to destroy at least mass loads of humans. This has been going on even before I was born, but it's obvious to me. And it makes me sick that I haven't ever crossed paths with people of courage that could actually talk to me about this. I met people in the music industry and entertainment all my life, and they spoke around my head. Even my pastor at the church that I used to attend spoke around my head. He knows. Go and ask him. If you're in Lancaster County, go to LCBC and tell him you want to speak to the senior pastor there, and tell them to tell him to tell them what he knows about people invading our headspace and monitoring in on us, because he knows that. Only he talks around your head, okay? Evidently, we're supposed to figure this out ourselves. I'm not a coward. I'll tell you, okay? I'll tell you exactly what I have come in to know. Especially if somebody walked up to me and asked me, are you familiar with that? I'm somebody who talked and said that I had all kinds of spiritual encounters happen to me throughout my life. Did you ever go to like a haunted place and you see these orbs and there's all kinds of different activity going on? Ooh, what was that? That must be the ghost of Sally Sue. No, it's not. It's somebody up there in outer space or somebody here on the planet who has a device in their chest. And they're directly communicating with the brains of the people in that haunted house, and they're making stuff up. There's people, which are probably humans as well, that have other technology and other ability to do stuff that we too would have, but we're disconnected for some reason. Chances are humans are not here on Earth by gravitational pull, but electrical oppression, which means we could probably fly. And I know that sounds stupid, right? Take away gravity, is that it? No, take away the electricity. Release it ever so gracefully and see how quickly you can swim in what we call air. Nevertheless, this gentleman that I met, I already talked about that at the park. I was very grateful. He was in my music video, Crazy Life, and February 24th of 2020, he passed away. Now, I don't know exactly what he passed away from, but here's the weird thing that I realized they like to do is if they don't bury you in concrete and weld, okay, they want to make sure you don't come back to life. Evidently, that's how scared something is, because they do what they call embalming, and then they put you in the coffin. See, I was going to get the opportunity. I met somebody that I used to be acquainted with a little bit, and they were going to show me. This was not only once in my life, but twice in my life, at different times, different people, same county. And here's the thing, from my home county, I could have got to learn the process of what they do with a human body, and how they embalm them, and why they embalm them, and putting them in a casket. And what do? Do they seal it? Is it welded shut? Why would they go to this extent? And then put you into a concrete slab and then bury you 6 foot under? What is the point of preserving all of that? For that, we could go dig somebody up today just to see if they're still there. Are we legally allowed to do that? I don't want to get in on that, and I don't want to make anybody, concerned unless it's going to ignite them into investigating. There are other alternatives. And one of those other alternatives is to put people in a furnace and scorch their body into ashes. Seems like the work of the devil, don't you think? No matter how you look at it. In the ground with concrete or into the flames. Which one do you want, kid? Yeah, that's really sweet, isn't it? How about neither? What if we're eternal existences and they just pretend to kill us? Or they pretend through us to numb the mind enough with electricity that we appear to be dead temporarily? I don't know. And at any given time, we could come back to life, maybe just for a few seconds, minutes, hours, or maybe just come back to life. And that's why they'd go through the process of ensuring that we'll never get out. I don't know, It's something to think about. Did you see any horror movies lately? This is something that has been frustrating to me because a lady that did my photographs, I think, was more of a cross-dresser. So there was male time and there was female time. And they had done this photo for me. And at the time that they did it, I really wanted to meet somebody that was top-notch photography. And I have learned that through my very own belief as well, that whether it was working with somebody, someone's, or technology and time on the computer, I could come up with photographs that I am extremely pleased with. I can't say that I wanted to model forever. I wanted the opportunity, I guess, for a season of time to model because I don't know why. How about that? Do we have to know why? Because it's something I wanted to do at some point. And this is one of my favorites. This came from my video, and I like the way it looks. It kind of has like a classic Kodak appearance, and it was one of my favorite videos that I have done, and it was one of my very first videos that I ever did. And it was one, it captured the kind of spirit, psychologically, that I would love to be. Maybe you don't see it, but I witnessed it. That I would like to be on a regular basis, which is more upbeat and very friendly. It is challenging. I get yelled at on a regular basis almost every time I go outside of this apartment somewhere. Somebody's yelling at me for something. A lot of times I will not put the mask on my face, okay? I believe that it's worse to wear a mask. And most people who wear a mask, they don't wear them properly anyway. They're not covering their breathing holes, okay, like they're supposed to. Breathing holes. So you can breathe, because there's a virus out there somewhere, right? Now, how about there's something pointing at your brain and they're giving you symptoms of what they say is a sickness, a virus? Does that make sense? Yeah, kill masses of people. I found out today, especially the elderlies. Well, nobody really wants them in their life anymore, do they? Healthcare facilities, is that it? Yeah. Why not create a virus? Yeah. Not everybody gets it, but the ones who do, I guess it was their time to go. Do you ever think it was a strike on humanity, a strike on America, a strike against anything to do with life? How about intelligence? Have you ever noticed that, especially when it comes to be real governmental projects and assistance, that it's either top-notch hidden? Why is Area 51 top-notch hidden? Why can't I just walk in there and find out what's going on? I'm a friendly visitor. Do they have a doorbell I can ring? Why doesn't somebody go out there and mean serious business and find out what's going on? Do you think there's underground cities and that's their way of coming out and going back in? Do you think there's like a teleporter that if you go down there you can teleport somewhere else of the world or beyond? Should there be a small group or a large group of other humans that keep hidden projects that they're doing? Should it not be available? When I do my music, for instance, I share it with the world. Whoever's interested, it's here, it's available. I don't have nothing to hide. Interesting. You know, do you believe everything that NASA says and shows us? Look, there's no life forms up here at all. There's no other life planets. You know, believe us because we have no reason to lie to you. Not at all. We just flew to the moon for the first time. We don't even know if that is the moon. We don't know what it is. It could be a light bulb. You know, it could be a planet. It could be a really, really big person. You know, we don't know. It could be a cartoon character. Unfortunately, I have some people that I have worked with, even since 2012, have unfortunately passed away. And I just would like to announce that I'm really sorry about that. I would have liked to be the person to be contacted and left known because I cared at one time in their life. Because I would rather hear about somebody I once had a relationship with of any kind, every once in a while just saying hi, or maybe that they did pass away. And it's my opportunity to come into a place that's closest to where they are, if only a visit to a cemetery, or maybe the last place that they were, that I could collect my own thoughts and directly give thanks to God and whatever else I would like to. However, I've noticed, I don't know if it's this area or if it's in the human race, but there's a lot of selfishness with that. And when people transition on, people want to keep it top secret. They don't want the general public to know. And I'm here to tell you that I don't think that that's heavenly. I think more so or not in heavenly, there would be more of a celebration. Because if people had it right more so with God, why would you want to keep hidden the fact that most likely a person transitioned on? And if they believed, according to the Christian faith, some people believe they transitioned on to something else, whether it be another life form. Some people believe that they transitioned on to heaven. What else do they believe? We don't want to hear that they perished to hell, right? It seems like an awful place to go, according to what people talk about in Scripture. Doesn't seem like the place to go. Well, here's the thing. I've noticed that while the enemy is attacking me, that when people such as songwriters or people that were in my video or maybe in our home at Huber Heights, if something had occurred, it's like I find out after the fact, and when I try to find out, were they buried? Where were they buried? Is there any way that I could visit their plot, their burial, or I don't know what else there is available? Is there any way that I could visit? Do you know how difficult it is to trace it down? And it seems like there's an instant cutoff of circulation of information. Evidently, it's none of my business. That's the way the average something in the world thinks. And that's kind of bizarre to me because I never witnessed so much harshness as I did until I ended up coming here to Ohio and I started waking up to all this weirdness that's out here. Anything from sicknesses and sinus issues. They call it Sinus Valley, and a tremendous amount of HIV victims and stuff. Wake up, local Ohioans, okay? Please, don't be mad at me. Pay attention to what is going on in your society. Chances are it's not exactly the details that other people are informing you of. Chances are they are covering things up. They built a wall between America and Mexico. They tell you they want to keep Mexicans from crossing over illegally. Think of it the other way. Do you think they want to keep us from running away in the time of invasion? Invasion from what? Do you think the aliens are coming? Do you think people or something from way up there on another planet is coming down with spaceships and laser lights? I'm not a conspiracy theory person. So the most that I got out of this is John Owen Smith, who was 59, of Springfield, Ohio, passed away on Monday, February 24th, 2020. He was born in Owensboro, Kentucky, on June 11th, 1960, to Dexter Smith and Margaret Clark. Arrangements entrusted to the care of Kinley Funeral Home. I am going to be contacting Kinley Funeral Home maybe this summer or fall, because I always wanted to see Kentucky, and I've always wanted to see Indiana. And because I am planning on moving eventually, I don't know where for sure, but I have been taking steps to work on my music, stay committed. I'm doing different treatments for myself, going to different clinics and stuff like that for like my varicose veins and stuff like that. So I'm taking care of what I need to take care of while I'm living here, because they're going to be relocating the residents of this facility into different homes that are hopefully available for us. And if I don't like the home for serious reasons, then obviously I want to look for a new place. And chances are, if I can take care of the things I want to here soon enough, sooner than later, I would probably like to move back to London, Pennsylvania. And one of the reasons is, I have to tell you that from what I've been through, I feel a very deep, dark, satanic circle of familyhood that lives in the Midwest that I did not notice as strongly in the state of Pennsylvania. So I'm convinced there's a lot of Satanists that live out here. And I'm convinced there's a lot of criminal activity in the state of Ohio. And I'm not afraid to talk because I'm not scared. Okay? But I have been tormented. I have been stalked. I have had military personnel or Fed agents, even in Missouri, surrounding me. I'm an innocent, loving person, and the only reason that I'm talking about this is because I became in tune that I have been being stalked for years. And the only thing I did right in my life was give my life to Jesus Christ. And through that, studied for years the Holy Bible. And as I started learning more, I started trying to surrender to what I perceived the truth inside my brain, and that's when I started coming into tune that evidently something of the world doesn't like when you do that. Okay? So with that being said, I have to say that I feel like, out here is kind of scary. Not necessarily specifically for me. It's just that I realize that there's very dark, evil people out here. Where? I don't know where. Maybe Yellow Springish. Maybe on the outskirts of Dayton. Okay? But it's kind of weird that the city is ran down. There's a whole lot of people limping around when they're walking, huh? Is it older? Is there disabled? Huh? They have all kinds of sinus problems, swellings of their legs. Well, guess what? If they're plugged into your brain, they stimulate the brain, and all of the psychological challenges that are in America, especially in the Midwest, comes from assault of technology in a military operation that is to torture, create problems, destroy relationships and lives. Why would they do that to us? Do you think there's other interest in using America for something else? Maybe. You think there's something here in the soil that may be of strong interest? The reason I'm sharing that with you is because I've noticed that even when I try to connect with people like on Facebook and stuff, there is a disconnect. And if they're in my thoughts, they're in their thoughts. I believe there's somebody, at least one person, assigned to each one of us human beings. Okay? And their plan is to basically separate the humans, create problems, and destroy them. Sounds pretty harsh. It might be real, it might not. I think it is. And with that being said, they go on your email accounts, they go on your Facebook, they disconnect you from people. When you find out about people finally, and you go to find out, you find out that a lot of people, I'm not saying him, but a lot of people end up not using their entirety of their full legal name. Okay, that's why they like usernames, user profiles. Make up a name. Don't use your real name. Don't put real content. Don't even use your own picture. They want you to believe private. Anytime somebody wants you to keep your life private, consider being out in that area and see what occurs. If there's something that you're doing right now, and if you sense that people around you want you to keep something private, then consider not doing that. Be safe. Consider not doing that, and if you have to, get into a solitude situation and find out that it's not just the people. There's something connected to your brain that's more like a dom that is dominating you, and they're into sadism, which means they're probably into eating humans, destroying humans, gruesome stuff, sex slavery, okay, child slavery. In other words, a lot of the gruesome stuff that you think that you hear about and it might not be real, most likely is. They love to get people into solitude and alone. That's why a lot of people used to be locked up in mental institutions years ago. And see, I know this because my mom and my family used to work at mental institutions. One of them was more of the popular hospitals in Pennsylvania, and it was called Phil Haven. In Phil Haven, a lot of people that were perceived, unfortunately, as Looney Tunes, crazy people, they were housed there. And I'm telling you now, I can only imagine that they were tortured. And then they put them on all kinds of medication, And whether the doctors know it or not, there's people wired into their brain, tapped into it, or some other life form, and they are psychologically torturing people while the doctors are inducing them with all kinds of medication. So, do you think there's other aliens that we would not approve of if they landed in front of us? Would we not freak out? They would think they were a monster, but maybe they have strong brain power, and they can mentally communicate with humans through technology, etc. Maybe the only way they can be human, maybe because something they went through, is to be in a human being through technology. And they're very hostile, they're very hateful, and they're very jealous and possessive over the human that they're in. Do you think that? Have you ever noticed, like, your life seems to always end up, a lot of relationships ending very quickly or ridiculously for no reason whatsoever? Maybe there's somebody assigned to you or chosen you, and they're very jealous and very envious, and they took ownership of your life without your blessing. Could be. If you listen to a lot of entertainers talk, especially in the music industry, you will probably hear them talk about, like, there's this dark something inside of them. You hear a lot of people talking about, like, they cover one eye. Which one is it? One side of your body is used by the enemy, so to speak, the Dom, and then the other side is yours. For me, I have more of challenges throughout my entire life of being able to use my left hand, like, to write or to do things with. I mean, it looks normal, but I can't do the things I can do with my right side of my body. And I was always in tune with this, as it doesn't seem like it's just. Something's weird. Well, with this device, doing whatever it does, it kind of, like, weakens the left side of the entire body, while on the right side of the body it creates numbness and issues with the right side, which gives a sensation of sinus that they can't diagnose anything wrong. Okay? For people who are going through things and they need glasses because their eyes are out of focus, they can see through your eyes with their devices that they use when they connect to a human being. They can change your vision ability. In other words, they're seriously into torturing humans. And they do things in such a graceful manner because they didn't want people to know. Neurology problems. The neurology hospital on Salem Avenue in Dayton, Ohio, they got rid of that hospital. They tore it completely down to the ground when I started talking on my videos and sharing with people about stuff. And one of those things is neurology problems don't exist. I know that might upset you if you have it or been diagnosed with it. That is electricity that is jolted into your body. Chances are the left side of your skull in the back. Some people say it's direct energy weapons. It might be. It's at least electricity and the same things that broadcast television and radio. So there's sound waves. If you hear a shh, or you hear any buzzing of the earring, or if the ears, like, you think you have, what is that called? Maybe you're familiar with tinnitus, okay? Ringing of the ears. That's from them. We don't get tinnitus. There's nothing wrong with your ears. It's somebody with a device who's aiming it at you to disturb you. Someday I'll go through a whole list of symptoms. And if you have any of those symptoms, chances are you are being harassed by whatever life form is assigned to you. In other words, they take your place. And the only way that you can separate, that's why Christianity is great for that, is Christ-likeness. Okay, if you pay attention to what Christ-likeness is, and you stay within that spirit, and you pay attention to what the sinful nature is, which is the other party, you will form psychologically a separation. And when that separation occurs, you will start to realize that literally you would be a very angelic individual if they were not in your body with their devices and stuff. That's pretty wild, isn't it? In other words, we are extremely heavenly humans, existences. Beautiful. And don't just say with where you are, where I am. No, we're gorgeous, and we live a lot longer than 60 years. And the attack, wherever it's coming from, they want you to believe, like they wanted me to believe when I was a kid, through my dad and through my grandmother, they want you to believe our angels are up there in heaven watching over us. They try to warp you into believing in time that they are the ones who are the angels in your life. But angels know that God gave us free will and they would never dominate us. And these bullies try to dominate us into horrible circumstances. That's why a lot of people end up committing suicide. That is why a lot of people do jump off bridges. Okay? I'm one of the few, maybe one of the a smaller percentage of people that were very close to jumping off the bridge a couple times and committing suicide. And something inside of me kept telling me to hold on to life. And I tried, and I stayed alive, and that's when I started to realize, oh my God, there are people who have been through mental psychological warfare trying to get me to kill myself. Which means that a lot of suicides and a lot of murders most likely are happening because of what others are doing through psychological warfare. They have the tools and the abilities to confuse your thoughts, to cause great deal of stress and anger, and evidently they can temporarily take over your body, at least for a small season of time, before you come into your senses. And that's why some people could end up saying, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Meaning they done something that was totally not them. It doesn't have to be so extreme, it could be something small. I can't believe that I just did that. I can't believe I just said that. Where did that come from? It came from somebody with like a CB radio and the ability to hold fast on your brain and send a jolt of probably like electricity. And I know this may sound crazy, but it could be that lightning and whatever is caused by lightning is caused by these exact same groups of people or other life forms. And that lightning is not thunderstorms and what we've been taught. And maybe we don't have darkness as much as we think. And maybe each year is not really a year like they want us to think. They like people to get lost in numbers, so they're about numbers. God of life and the God that I read about in the Holy Bible is words. You focus on words, not numbers. I mean, you got to pay attention. You have to be aware and pay attention. But words, especially knowing that your Father who's in heaven, wherever that is, could be right present, will enter you into heaven psychologically through words that are favorable for you. In other words, God is always for you. The enemy is not. So if you feel a great domination in your life, you have to ask yourself, is that a loving God that would do that? Is that a loving creator? Is that love that would force me to do something? I don't know. I am going to change my card and I'm going to change my battery because it's flashing right now. And I want to straighten this out. Here, I have a subject I want to talk about. And it might help for you to understand how you can catch early signs if you go back maybe over your life, evaluate it, or in the present moment. You may see like a subject, meaning like you learn in English class. A subject would be like, for instance, talking about sports or talking about a specific sports like baseball or football or racing cars. That's like a subject matter. A subject would be like video games. We're going to talk today, the subject about is video games. We're going to talk about that. Or cars. Or horses. It can be many different things. We're going to talk about audio, or we're going to talk about speakers, or we're going to talk about guitars. We talk about subjects. Okay? I want to talk about a subject that I realized started to become more and more, okay, from a distance. From a distance, it's kind of like small. And it's channeling through the human race and conversations. And it's starting to become more magnified. And Tracilyn doesn't know what to do because, I'll tell you, Tracilyn's listening to Joyce Myers and other pastors on television because Tracilyn is lost and doesn't have somebody intelligent and loving all at the same time to speak to on a regular basis about things that I'm encountering. And I'm starting to listen to these psychopathic people who talk about how the universe operates, okay? And those people are scary. The psychic kind of people. I would have to go with the Bible, and not on any specific. I'm not going to tell you what the Bible says, but it does mention about people, especially that predict the future and stuff. It can't be done. It's like saying you can predict God, and God won't let a human being or a group of human beings predict God. You never know God's next move. You never know what God's going to manifest together or form together. You never know what new child is going to be born in less than a few seconds. Okay? You can assume through things that you've once seen occur again and again, but you have to know. For instance, it was predicted my sister could never have a child by many different people, including physicians. And yet she prayed, I prayed, other people prayed, and finally she had a child. Who would have predicted that? A lot of people would say, well, we can pray, we don't know what the end result's going to be.